Hello, strangers and friends. My name is Grace, and this is episode 5 of Sometimes I Make Things, a vlog series about the creation of things, but primarily knitting. And today we are going to have a cast-on party. If you've been following along with my vlog series so far, you will know that in the previous episode, I made this lovely sweater in 3 weeks and 3 days as part of a challenge I did for myself, just cause, you know. So having done just one project for the whole past month, I have itchy fingers and I want to do a whole bunch of new projects. I have at least 5 planned. I have already started some, but today, right now, we are going to wind some yarn and I'm going to show you the early process of starting a project and just kind of talk a little bit about what I want to make next. Here for it. In case you were wondering, making things runs in the family, and my dad is currently hammering and sawing things in the basement. So, I realized in the last vlog I never really properly showed off this sweater, so this is that. Ding! So, the split hem was something I talked about but didn't really show off, and what I did was I had moved the split forward a little bit, and I wasn't sure about it then, but now I really like it actually, because as I'm standing here, you can appreciate my split hem. So I just appreciate that it kind of brings more attraction to, you know, some hip realness. As far as our back goes, I think there's not too much bunching. I think it fits quite well. And I have a lot of give underneath the armpit area here, so I don't really need to worry about getting this area really matted and sweaty, etc., you know, armpit stuff. It hits a lot lower than I thought it would, but I'm really happy about that. Just the amount of yarn that I had, I thought it was going to end up being this kind of length. So the fact that I used up all my yarn and it's hitting at a nice natural sweatshirt point, I'm really happy about. I think the sleeves maybe could have been slightly shorter, just so that they would sit a little bit more like that rather than falling down like that. That's kind of a thing with balloon sleeves, is that if you make them too long, you kind of lose your cuff in the fold over like that, which, you know, could be better, but I think to be aware of next time is to maybe aim a little shorter on my balloon sleeves. But ta-da! For the yarn winding process, I personally like to use a ball winder. It's this fun little contraption that you clamp onto the side of a table. You wind the yarn through our little wibbly bit here, and there she goes. If you are a knitter watching this, you know. And if you're one of my lovely friends who doesn't know how to make a slip knot, but you're watching this because you're supportive, this is for you. Because I'm afraid of damaging the table, I like to make a little square of tissue and just put this between the table and the base of my winder, just because I don't want to be the one held responsible for scratches on the table. This is a mistake. The other essential piece of equipment, in my personal opinion, is having a swift. So this holds the skein of yarn while you're winding it and keeps the process moving, cuts down the winding time so much. The problem with my winder is that the base attachment for the table was awful. It was horrible. It was crooked. It didn't make sense. Things fell all the time. I threw it in the garbage in a rage. So I've been having, like, myself, I've been holding it, but that's really awkward, or I've been getting a family member to hold it, which works, but, you know, it's be nice to not need to rely on another person to hold the swift for me. So I am trying out using a clamp, which my dad has a lot of, because as you can tell from him hammering things downstairs, he does a lot of handyman kind of stuff. So I stole one of my dad's clamps. Hopefully it's not an expensive clamp. And I've just clamped my umbrella stand to there, and we'll see how this works. The clamp weighs about 1 pound, and then the yarn's about 100 grams. This is pretty light, so I'm hoping when this starts getting going, it doesn't go flying. I'm hoping this is heavy enough, but we will find out together. I'm hoping this works, because it's a really easy fix. So that wasn't supposed to happen, that just happened because I tied the end. But pretty good, pretty good. It's a few days later and I can say with confidence that I have lost my damn mind. Hello again. Today is February 23rd and a lot has happened since I've done my little winding party at the beginning of this video. I have completed a new FO and I have 3 new whips on the needles. I have another one which I want to get back on the hook, and I have a 4th project, or I guess 5th project, that I'm planning on casting on very soon. So lots to share in part 2 of Castonitis. Noteworthy mention, this is Trill. He is Milo's brother. They are from the same litter. They may look very different, but they are in fact brothers from the same mother. I love him. Let's get to the knitting, shall we? Are you gonna be good or are you gonna be bad? I'm gonna talk about my FO first and then we'll get into the whips, etc. These are World's Simplest Mitts by Tin Can Knits. They are the first pair of mittens that I've ever made. I knit them using Sweet Georgia Sport Merino in the London Fog colorway, held double, and 1 strand of Knit Picks Aloft in Pennyroyal. They're very soft, very comfortable. I really enjoyed knitting these. They didn't take long to knit at all, and they were a great travel project. I was working on them on the train to Toronto when I went to visit some good friends there. And yeah, I'm overall very happy with this pattern. I plan to knit more of these mitts. This is a few days that I've been wearing them pretty regularly and they've held up quite well. I was a little worried about mohair being in there for a more heavy wearing object, but they've actually held up really nicely and they have gotten a bit fuzzier with time, I think. But like not in a bad way. And like we had a lot of snow here over the past couple weeks, clearing off my car of like half a foot of snow or more, and my hands stayed warm and dry in these, which I was really impressed by, because you know, sometimes when you're cleaning off your car of snow, your hands just get soaked and you're miserable. So yeah, these have actually held up very functional in our cold Southern Ontario winter. So I'm very happy about these guys. I'm very happy about you too. I'm so out of practice of filming myself. It feels like it's been so long. Whip number 1, which you will recognize from the winding part, is my Cooler Side of Warm cowl from Espace Tricot. This is 1 whole skein of the Cascades yarn that we wound up together, and then I have skein number 2 ready to go. I've been taking a little break from this project because I've been casting on many things and keeping myself busy, but I plan to very soon finish off this project. It's a simple knit. You start knitting it flat with the ribbing, and then you join the ribbing together to create the circular knit portion of the cowl. So the idea is that this will sit more easily on the chest because it has that split rather than all bunching up. I want this to be pretty long because I want to get that very like cozy effect, and I want to be able to pull it up as needed if it's really cold and windy. So basically I just have a few more inches of stocking stitch left to go on this, and then I switched to smaller needles for the ribbing, and then cast her off. So yeah, a very simple pattern, but I think this will be a very cozy and effective cowl. And I really am a big fan of the Cascades 220 yarn. This is of course one of the Heathers, but yeah, it's just such a workhorse yarn. It's not overly soft, but it's not overly rough either. I feel like it's a pretty good, just I guess, workhorse yarn. So that is whip number 1. The second whip that I have, again, I'm pulling all of these out of one project bag. This was like a shaving kit bag that was repurposed by me and to a knitting bag, and I love it. It's the best. It's very sturdy. Anyway, whip number 2 is these very fun pair of socks that I got going. So you will recognize these. I showed off the yarns earlier in the video. Don't be bad. I love how colorful these are. So I have one yarn. This is the heel tab cuff pattern from Pearlbug, and then just a slip stitch heel and a base vanilla sock pattern after that. It's just kind of a mix and match sock. So yeah, I used one yarn for our lovely fold over heel tab. This is the cottage sock yarn for the slip stitch heel, which I think slip stitch tail is my favorite. It's so cushy and soft. Knit Picks Darling Rainbow Sorbet here. And then I just did like a colorwork raise pattern to blend in the 2 different shades of the Darlings. I actually really like the low contrast colorwork portion of this a lot more than I thought I would. And I also found I deeply, deeply love a light lavender color with a like neon green or neon yellow, like this section here. I don't know if it'll show up well, but I feel like I need to make something in that combination of light purple and just really acidic green, because it just made me very happy to knit that section. So the plan for this is just to keep knitting in the Lavender Kiss colorway, and then I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a pink toe or just go back to the green, because I'm not sure if I have enough of this to complete both socks if I do the toe as well in this color. So you know, I'm just gonna knit it and find out. But the point of these socks is that the gingerbread sweater, loved knitting it, but it was just one color the whole time. So I just wanted something that was just color vomit. So that's the goal with these, and I'm loving them so, so much. It's such a fun project to work on. My third knitting whip that I'm gonna show you today is actually another outline tank, which is what I am wearing today. This is my first outline tank. I knit this one in Trailhead Yarns, which is a vegan yarn company in, I think they're in Ontario, but it's definitely in Canada. So this is their Fundy Tides and Appalachian Trail yarn held together. Either way, very soft, very silky. I'll link my Ravelry project page below. I really do like this outline tank. My one issue with it is that I feel like it's just a little too big. I made this one the 2X, and it's just grown a lot over time. So it is a very comfortable wear, but I would like one that's just a little less oversized, especially like with the straps. I had to shorten the straps twice actually, to get them to a point where it wasn't just like full bra and ribs being shown down the side when I was wearing it. So outline tank number 2, I'm making, I think it's the 1X size now, so just slightly smaller. I'm going to use Lindy Chain. This is a Knit Picks yarn, colorway Celery, and I have very little done right now. It's just some twisted rib. It's not a ton to show, and of course my wonderful strawberry stitch stoppers from Cara & Co. I'm really enjoying this actually because Lindy Chain is a cotton linen chainette style yarn, and it just feels so, so different from merino yarn, which is what I've been using a lot to knit my other 2 projects. It just has a coarseness to it because it's plant fibers, right? So I kind of really like the feeling of the coarseness though when held in comparison to the softness of the merino. It's just such a different texture, and it's so inelastic as well. Like it just feels so different from merino yarn, that I've been having fun knitting on it just because it's a tactile experience. So with the outline tank, with this one at least, I'm planning on going for more of the outline tee style. Jessie May has the outline tank and the outline tee as two separate patterns. But I feel like if I buy a pattern, I have to make like the pattern at least twice to kind of justify paying for it, just to really get full use out of it. So yes, remaking for a smaller size, but I also am thinking that I'm going to knit the outer side just straight up, and then I will do the decreases front and back to make a V front, V back, and then just have like a drop shoulder design. And I probably will pick up and do a little bit of ribbing on the sleeve area just to make it look more finished, or maybe I'll do some sort of I-cord finishing. But yeah, just kind of a drop shoulder style tee. Partially also I want to do this because Anish Turk, which I've mentioned many times now, is designed as a drop shoulder, but I haven't tried very many drop shoulders on myself. So I feel like I'll do the outline tee. I'll have a little bit more coverage for in the summer, avoid those sunburns, as well as get a sense of, okay, does the drop style shoulder actually look good on me, or should I try something different? Anish Turk, I am tabling for a little bit. I think that I don't want to work on it over the summer. I'm probably going to end up knitting it in the fall. And I have other sweaters that I want to work on anyway. So I think I'm going to give myself a little bit more time before casting on Anish Turk and just make that more of a cooler weather project, because I think it's more inspiring to work on cables and chunky knits when the weather is cooler. Whereas right now, yes, the weather is cold, but I just want spring so badly. I am desperate for some warm weather and sunshine and flowers. So I think I want to aim for some more spring summer knits rather than very wintry knits, which Anish Turk definitely is. So that's the plan for now. The other whip that I would like to talk about is actually my oldest whip. It is a crochet blanket, and I started it in 2015. So 2022 now, still not done. That's a pretty old whip. Anyway, I'm gonna try to hold it up for you. This blanket is halfway done, and some of you might know it or have heard of it, but this is Sophie's Universe. Oh my goodness. Yes, this is how we're filming the rest of the video. So, Sophie's Universe was a crochet along in 2015. I think it started in February 2015, if I'm correct. And my aunt actually was doing it, and I was so in love with hers. Hers was like purples and greens and I believe black as well. It was beautiful. And I didn't really know how to crochet at that point. I think maybe I had made like a small amigurumi, or I don't even remember if I knew how to crochet yet or not, but this was the first, if not one of my very first crochet projects ever, which is kind of ridiculous, considering how intricate this pattern is, but it was a really fun way to, it was a really fun way to learn crochet because it was challenging and interesting, and like every single row you're doing different stitches. So I really did enjoy working on this, and there are also video tutorials for literally every single row of the pattern. So that was very helpful too. So even if I didn't understand crochet very well, if I could watch a video of someone demonstrating how to do every single stitch and talking me through it, I was able to get pretty far doing this, and it did set me up with a lot of skills for crochet. So I think that it is time for it to get done. And while this project has been in hibernation for many years, what inspired me to... Oh no! Okay, 1 second. This is worth showing off. Troll decided to jump into my yarn bag. Sir! This video is quickly devolving. How's that for an intermission? Trill is the yarn thief of the house. Rouge will, the dog, will occasionally steal yarn, but Trill really is the baddie when it comes to yarn. If like he has stolen things and dragged them through the house, you'll find like a trail of yarn just leading into the basement. It's very ominous. Yeah, but you know what? He is a cat, so I can't really fault him for wanting to play with yarn. But he's the one. Milo doesn't do it, but Trill does. So anyway, Sophie's Universe. This whip has been in hibernation for about 3 years. I'm pretty sure this last row I did in 2019, but 2018 was definitely when I last did significant damage on this. Is because my good friend Mega of Skeins of Dreams is doing a blanket make-along over the next year. Mega has made a Slack group, which I have joined, and there's a link on her Instagram page if you want to join it as well, to share whips and FOs over the course of the next year, and generally just encourage each other to get things done or start things, all big knits and crochets. So I think she said basically anything over 1,200 meters qualifies. So a big shawl and anything blankets are pretty applicable. Baby blankets, adult blankets, whatever. So I figured, okay, I can get some people to hold me accountable, and there's a little extra incentive to share photos of progress. This is the perfect time for me to finish this blanket, because pretty much every single year since 2015, when I started mine, it's been a goal to finish this blanket, and it has not happened. So maybe 2022/2023 is the year that it happens. So as far as how far into the blanket I actually am, Sophie's Universe is a 16-part blanket cowl. I got to part 8, so this is finished part 8. So that means I have 8 parts to go. And I believe as each row goes along, there are less rows included, because obviously the blanket diameter is getting bigger and bigger, and the idea is that each part you should be able to do in a week. So in theory, I should be able to get this done in 8 weeks, but that's not going to happen. The other element of this blanket and finishing it off, so I just gotta laugh at how crooked my flower is, but you know what? It's not about it being perfect. It's about it being fun and comfortable. Anyway, so the other element about this blanket is that I have a certain amount of yarn that I bought to get this blanket done. And I spent quite a fair bit of money on this yarn. It's Peyton's Canadiana is the yarn line. I don't even know if this yarn is still being made by Peyton's. So basically, I just want to use up all the yarn that I bought for this project. If I don't have enough yarn to finish the blanket, depending on how far into it I get, and if I really want certain parts included, I might go out and buy yarn in maybe a neutral color or as close to a color as these as I can get if they're not being made anymore, to get that part done. But my number one goal with this blanket is just to use up the yarn that I spent money on specifically for this blanket. And we'll see how that goes. But I'm crossing my fingers that it is enough to finish the blanket, because I definitely, I bought yarn for this blanket, and then I went out and bought another large batch of yarn. So a fair amount of money has been invested in this project already. Yeah, so I don't think I have too much more to tell you other than that, just that this is my oldest whip, and I am hoping to get it done at long last. I will link Mega's YouTube channel below, and I will link her Instagram as well, but it's Skeins of Dreams. You can look it up very easily. And all the information about the blanket cowl or mal is listed in her highlights on her Instagram. The hashtag that we're going to be using is hashtag blankets of dreams whip or blankets of dreams FO. And yeah, join us. Make some things. Keep yourself warm. Finally, I have one more project that I'm hoping to cast on very soon, but haven't yet just because life has been busy and, having 3 whips is plenty. But anyway, I recently bought the Sheer V sweater pattern from Jessie May. It was her birthday sale earlier this month, so she was offering 39% off all of her patterns, and I felt like that was a pretty good opportunity to get the Sheer V. I have been planning to knit this sweater for almost a full year, if not more at this point. I just never got around to getting the pattern because I wanted to wait until I was actually ready to cast on before buying a pattern, because otherwise, if you buy it, maybe it just ends up in a void and you never actually get to it. So that's kind of my personal, I will buy the pattern when I'm ready to knit it, not before. That being said, I have bought Jacqueline Cieslak's Bay pullover pattern, and I do not have yarn for it. So, it's not a hard rule, but it's a good rule. Anyway, so for my Sheer V, I am planning to knit it using Knit Picks Aloft Penny Royal. This is the leftovers I have from knitting the World's Simplest Mitts, but I do have 5 full skeins still, so that should be more than enough, as well as Knit Picks Palette. This is the color Hyacinth. I did buy Hyacinth and then waffled on a little bit about whether or not these would be a good pairing. This is a very pinky purple, and I thought maybe a cooler icy lavender color would be better, but ultimately, you know what? I bought these yarns, I have knit a swatch. They do look good together, and I'm just gonna commit and go for it. Because like I said before, if I'm buying the pattern, which I bought the pattern, I'm probably gonna end up knitting multiple sweaters from it anyway if I like the pattern. So even if this color pattern doesn't turn out the vision, I think it's still gonna be good, and this is gonna be very pretty. Anyway, so I haven't cast this one on yet. It starts with a tubular cast on, which I haven't actually done before. So that's more so what's just holding me back, is learning a new technique. Mega actually recommended a YouTube tutorial for me, the Andrea Mowry tubular cast on. So I'm just going to be following that. It's just actually taking the time to sit down and focus on a brand new cast on. I did make a cast on tutorial playlist. It's just the one video right now, but as I find some more good tutorials for new cast on techniques, I'm going to add it there, as well as any other stitches or specific tutorials that I find helpful. I'm going to start putting it into playlist highlights so you can see what I have used if you are looking for some assistance in the future for knitting techniques. So more on this, probably in the next video. I might have a little bit of an update for you on it. But this is going to be my ousting Inishturk as far as next sweater pattern plan is to do sheer V instead. You know, a little more spring oriented. So hoping to have this done. You know, if I could have this done before May, I think that would be nice. Like, there's still enough cool weather that I could wear a sweater in April. So I'm gonna aim for that. But we'll see what happens. Well, friends, I believe that is all I wanted to cover for this episode. I hope you had fun seeing a little bit of my early process and some knitting that I have done over the past few weeks. And I look forward to talking with you all again soon. Take care until then. Bye, friends.